Tonight, I'm going to share with you guys another version or another way to make shepherd's pie. There's actually a different flavor, in my opinion, to this recipe. However, this is an old recipe that was used before ground meat became a thing. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the folks from Atlanta who are watching this recipe. California, I want to shout out the people in California who are subscribed or just viewing the recipe also. And there's one person in St. Martin in the Caribbean who reached out to me. So I want to say hi to all you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get started with the cooking. So in a pan, I have some beef that I have cubed. I have cut it into, I'm sorry, I have cut it into small cubes. The beef has been pre-seasoned, and now I'm cooking the beef with onions, red onions, or rather purple onions, sweet onions, and garlic. And we are going to cook that until the beef is tender. In goes a 16-ounce can of tomatoes, and these are whole peeled tomatoes. And it's important to use whole tomatoes because the duration of the beef, the time that it takes for the beef to get tender, there will be about 30 minutes, and the tomato is going to be cooking down and thickening up. That will give a great consistency for when this beef is ready to go into the pie. So this has been cooking down for about 15 minutes. I am adding some thyme, and then I'm going to go in with some celery sticks that have been chopped and some parsley. I will allow this to cook down for another 15 minutes. Now that the meat is tender, I am going to remove the thyme that has now cooked off and all the stems of the branch has fallen off. And I'm going to add the mushrooms that have been washed and sliced. So I'll be adding the mushrooms to the pot and then I'm going to allow it to cook up. It is important at this stage to stir constantly, thereby allowing the mushrooms to cook but also allowing the sauce to thicken up because we would like it to be in a pasty form and not a liquid form. It is an excellent time to add more flavor, more seasoning to your pot if you desire. I would season my mushrooms if I needed to add more seasoning. For me, I am not going to add any additional seasoning. I used chicken bouillon. I used I believe Mrs. Dash and a few other seasonings to season the meat itself, so the flavor is already there and I'm not going to be adding anything extra beside the herbs that I added, the onions and the parsley, etc. I'm not going to be adding anything else. If you were to try this, then you would taste and make the necessary adjustments to your taste. Be mindful that if you are not a person who enjoys mushrooms, this can be omitted. You would just need to add additional beef. So if you were using 1 pound, you would need to add an additional pound of beef. Now that the mushrooms have cooked up, you see that the consistency is pasty. The mushrooms will release water or its juices while it is cooking, but the tomato is going to help to thicken it up, and that's the reason why the whole tomatoes were added. So this is exactly the consistency that I am looking for, because now I am going to boil my potatoes and make some mashed potato. I made my mashed potatoes by adding heavy cream, 1 bar of cream cheese, and a nice dollop of butter. And of course, I made my potatoes the way you make homemade mashed potatoes. And then I greased the bottom of the pan, the baking dish actually, and layered it with a layer of potatoes. Now I'm going to top the potatoes with the mixture that we prepared earlier on, and then proceed to cover it with another layer of potatoes or another layer of mashed potatoes. So yes guys, I made my own mashed potato. I always do. I don't use the box product. That may be easier for some of you guys, but for me, I like my homemade. The potatoes I use in this were Idaho. The golden potatoes are much better for this recipe, but I had my hubby pick the potatoes up and he got Idaho, so I made the best of what I have because the kids are not going to eat the stuff from the box. So I'm going to layer the top now and then spread it out, and then I will proceed to add some mozzarella cheese. After I have smoothed out the potato, I'm going to add some mozzarella cheese, not a whole lot, and then on top of the mozzarella I'm going to add a little bit of cheddar cheese just for that bang. This dish is another example of a simple but nutritious meal that you can prepare for your family or for your kids. You don't want to do all the extra hard work or have several dishes hustling. You just do something as simple as this. It's a one dish, and then you have your sides, whatever you want to use, if it's salad or whatever you want to put on the side. So again, another suggestion for a simple dish. You guys can try it out and let me know if you have ideas that you think would work better, or if you tried it in a different way, you can also let me know. But yes, I topped it up with mozzarella and cheddar. Sometimes I use Gouda cheese. I love smoked Gouda. So you can just experiment with your dish if you want to try this and use whatever cheese you flavor best. This then goes into the oven at a temperature of 375 degrees and will bake until it is nice and golden brown. Let it sit for about 15 minutes. After